Hello, everybody. This is Barbara Draska with the Bundle Masterclass, and tonight we're going to talk about mistakes people make with bundling, and I've made some of them myself when I first got started. So I'm going to give you the benefit of my wisdom so you don't have to make those mistakes too, and we're just going to jump in and get started. If you have any questions, you can ask them in the chat, and you can also post them on Facebook, on my Facebook group called Deal Diva. It's www.facebook.com/groups/Deal Diva, DEALDIVA, and go ahead and post your questions about wholesale sourcing, private label, bundling, all things Amazon in there, and we will answer your questions as they come up. Okay, so let's just dig right in, and first of all, I want to thank you for being here. I know a lot of people are not in a position to be on webinars tonight and are basically just trying to save their homes from the flooding in Houston and in other parts of Texas. So thank you for being here tonight, for sharing your time with me, and I'm going to give you as much value as I can in this time that we have together. So let's just dig in and get started. Let me go ahead and share my screen with you, and we will just dig into the 10 bundling mistakes that people make when creating bundles for Amazon. And I'm sure there are more mistakes, but I just picked the top 10. So today we're going to cover, well, let's just start going through this list, okay? And I'm not going to insult you by reading every single item. So as we go through each item, I'm going to kind of fill in the blanks and share stories and anecdotes about how these can be mistakes when you're creating bundles. And actually, it can apply to other areas of your Amazon business as well, not just bundles. So first, mindset. This is a big one, and I know we hear a lot about it. Gary Vaynerchuk and Tony Robbins, and there's so many really great motivational speakers. Jim Rohn, I love Jim Rohn. If you guys haven't checked him out yet, go check him out. He's passed, but he was actually the mentor for Tony Robbins. It's Jim Rohn, I believe. Go check out his stuff on YouTube. So. Mindset is a big thing, believe it or not, in business and in life. So you can get caught up in all the negativity on social media and just bad advice. You hear one thing and then you hear a different thing and then you hear something else, and it's hard to kind of figure out, well, who are these people who are saying these things? Do they have the background? Do they have the knowledge, or are they just speaking with an air of wisdom so that you just automatically believe them, right? So you have to be careful when you see people posting on Facebook that, oh yeah, you have to do this. Oh no, you have to do that. I kind of shy away from anyone who doesn't question themselves. So I look for people to learn from who are willing to say, and in fact, easily say it, kind of put their ego aside, and they say, you know what, I'm not sure about that, but let me go check for you. I don't know the answer to that. Here's what I think it might be, but let me go find out for you. Or let me find someone else who knows that answer, who's smarter in that area, or more educated in that area than I am. Okay, so Ann Pope says she can't hear, so I want you guys just to mark in the chat, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Say yes, please. Okay, if you can't hear me, then somebody type in the chat asking this young lady to unmute her computer. So you can hear me, I'm going to keep going. So mindset is a big thing. So here's what I mean by mindset. First, turn off the negativity, because it's going to have an effect on your business, on your brain, on your physical health, on your demeanor, on your energy level, everything. So when you start hearing people complain, oh, this didn't work and that didn't work, and they don't follow it up with, but here's what I did to solve the problem. Here's what I'm going to do to address it. Here are my workarounds. Here, stuff happens. We can't always be positive, and life isn't all like rainbows and roses, right? So when things happen, it's how you deal with it. It's the energy that you bring towards it. It's the mindset. It's your ability and your desire to look at solutions more than you focus on the problem. So that's mindset, believe it or not. And on these Facebook groups, you're going to have a lot of people telling you to do stuff, and they have such an air of authority that, I've seen incorrect information about using UPC codes, for example, in multiple places on Facebook groups, and I cringe, like, oh my gosh, this person is saying, hey, just use UPC codes on your bundles with such an air of authority, and people are following these these people with heirs of authority, and you could get your account shut down. Your business could be at risk. So when you follow people on Facebook, make sure that they are cutting edge, they are on top of Amazon, they are full-time sellers on Amazon, they are in the trenches with you no matter what you're learning about, whether it's bundling or wholesale or private label. Make sure that they are people that you want to follow because they speak from the trenches. Okay, so is everybody unmuted? How do I unmute? Okay, I'm going to let you guys figure out the unmuting thing in the chat, okay? Because most of you can hear me. So you guys figure that in the chat, and I'm just going to keep going. Let's go over to the next mistake. And these are in no particular order. These are just kind of mistakes I've seen and made a few myself. So the second one is not understanding your customer passions and problems. So we're taught as Amazon sellers right out of the gate that we should I'm going to close off the chat so I don't see it here. There we go, gallery view. That we should start all of our research with the product. So yes, that is a valid perspective. And it's good to have other tools in your toolbox. So I start my research with the customer. And even more so than the customer, I start my research by looking at fanatical niche markets where there are pools of people who have the same interest or passion or problem that I can bring a set of products to in the form of a product bundle. I can bring that product to that market that already exists. Okay, so when you start with the niche market research, then you've increased the value of or the chance that your bundle or any product you bring to that market actually at all, that your product will have a higher rate of profit, will have more of a success rate. So start with the customer in mind. And actually that's Amazon. That's Amazon's perspective. All right, they are all about the customer experience and they're pretty darn successful, wouldn't you say? So why not take a page from their book and apply that to our businesses? Okay, so back to share screen. Let's just come over here and let's take the next one on the list, not conducting market demand research. So after you've discovered customers' passions and problems and you started digging in, you want to go a little bit deeper and look at the market demand. Because if the niche market you're going after is so obscure that there might be a small group of really fanatical people around it, right? But it's not a big enough group for you to bring a product into and have it be a sustainably selling product over a long period of time. So it's really important to look at all of the numbers of a market, not just kind of do a cursory overview and then dive in and buy a bunch of product and then try to sell it. Okay, so that brings me to the next one, falling in love with a product or a niche market. Oh my gosh, have I done this? I get all into my Valley Girl mode when I see something that I think is cool. I'm kind of quirky. So what I think is cool might not have a big enough market for me to bring a bundle to. And I'll get into my Valley Girl, oh my God, this is so cool. Oh my God, this is so cool. I have to have this. Where do I get this? Oh, I have to go source it, right? And I have to make sure that I'm not getting emotionally crazy about just some product without doing market research. Now, I believe that passion is a great start to doing product research. So when you see something that you're like, okay, this is so cool, don't source it until you've backed up and done your what I call customer-centric research. So dig deep into that passion or problem that product will solve. And that brings me to asking the right questions. So when you ask the right questions about a product, and right questions would be, who would buy this? Why would they buy it? And what else would they buy? What purpose does it serve for that customer? And when you start asking customer-centric questions, you're able to dig deeper into a niche market and then decide whether or not a product you've run into or a market you've run into is viable to put together a bundle for or to bring a private label product for. Because basically all bundling is kind of a poor man's private labeling, right? So we're bringing a product to a market and we own that listing, and that's basically private labeling, but without having to spend $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 on a container. Just as an aside, one of my suppliers sent me an email today. His containers, he's got 2 containers held up in Houston and the containers are underwater. And they're supposed to be air and watertight, but not so much when it's submerged. So he's set to potentially lose. There's no way for him to tell. And some of my products are on his container because I buy from him. But there's no way for him to tell what's going on until the floodwaters recede and he can get to his containers. And the value of the stuff in those containers, the retail value is $500,000, $500,000. So if you get to test passionate markets on a much lower level, lower risk level, and on a smaller way with just a few $100s to start with, you've reduced your risk level, but you're able to test out a market that maybe that you can go bigger on. Okay. So you guys are still figuring out the recording stuff. I'm going to let you keep doing that. I'm going to go back to share screen and just keep giving content, and you guys can rewatch this later after you've figured out how to unmute your computers or whatever's going on. Okay, so falling in love with a product or niche market. Great. Passion is a great place to start market research, but don't let it guide, don't let emotionalism guide what you do in your business. It's all about the numbers. Not understanding your competition. So I very often run across products that I think are just the coolest thing since sliced bread, and I don't look at the competitive market. So let's say I find a product or I find a niche that is just this hot niche, and there's a lot of really passionate people in it looking for a specific type of product or products to meet their passion. But there's a gazillion sellers that the price points have come down so far in that market because there are so many sellers on that market because it's kind of an obvious market. Like, let's just take dog lovers. Would you agree that being a dog lover is a passionate market? Absolutely. I'm an animal lover in general. I have 2 kitty cat, sweeties, but I love animals in general. But the dog market or even the pet market is too broad a market to go after. And you'll see that so many people are going after it. It's tough to make money in that market because of the competition. So you have to make sure after you find a passionate market and you've conducted some market research around the demand for it, make sure that you're understanding your competition in that market as well. So I'm going to pause here, stop the share, and come over here in the chat and see what everybody's doing here. Check the recording. Okay, so you guys are all, well, I am recording this, so I'm not sure. Check your recording status. Normally shows red on my end, but I am definitely recording this. It is, it's going, it's recording. So I'm just going to keep going. And then you guys work out this mute issue in your in the chat if you don't mind. But it is recording on my end. Okay, so let me go back into share screen because I want to make sure that I am honoring your time. So let me get back into it here. Let's take a schluck of water before we go because I go pretty fast. I know I do. All right, that's actually green juice. I don't know if you guys would like it, but it's like all these vegetables and stuff in it. It's not a very appealing taste, but now you know why I have such high energy most of the time because I drink a lot of fruit and vegetables. Okay, so not understanding competition. So you have to understand the landscape of what your competition is for a niche market and a product in that niche market that you're looking at bringing to the market. The next mistake that sometimes we make is we don't know how to negotiate with suppliers. I see all the time people who are sourcing wholesale products, and they're just selling straight wholesale. And I see it in the groups all the time, the complaint that, well, this supplier won't sell to me because I'm an Amazon seller. Or, I got their CSV file, and I can't make any money on their products. And that's usually because the seller has stopped the conversation after the supplier says, no, we don't sell to you, and here's our price list. Well, there are different levels in pricing for most suppliers, by the way. So unless you learn negotiating tactics with suppliers, it's going to eat into your bottom line. So it's really important to learn how to negotiate prices down, to find the best prices, to use different suppliers to negotiate against each other. So they are going to be vying for your business. And this is a lot of the stuff that I cover in the Bundle Masterclass under the supplier negotiation module. Okay, not understanding listing optimization best practices. I hate to keep beating you guys over the head with it. I'm sure none of you in here do it, but any one of us could go on Amazon and see just these awful I'm just going to close the chat here. These awful listings that have one picture with a gray background and maybe a few words in the title that do not get the main keyword, do not cover the main keywords of their listing, of their product. Maybe one or two bullet points that are just like 3 words each, just terrible listings. So you're going to learn in the Bundle Masterclass how to truly optimize your listings. Everything from, I've got a photographer on there who gives an entire webinar on how to take pictures that are optimized for Amazon and optimized visually to lead people to the buy box. This guy's amazing. And then I've got an interview with a gentleman who does nothing but listing optimization. And we really dive deep into, because here's the thing. If Amazon is sending a bunch of traffic to your listing for whatever reason, and that listing doesn't convert into a sale, then you're not making any money, and Amazon will figure that out pretty fast and stop sending people to the listing. So it's Amazon's job to say, okay, Mr. Customer, this product looks like it might meet your needs, your passions, and your problems. And once their customer gets to your page, it's your job to give them an amazing customer experience on that Amazon listing page so that they know exactly what they're getting and what needs and passions, what needs it's going to meet in that customer's eyes and what passions it's going to feed and how they could possibly use that product in multiple ways. So it's your job to take that listing. That is real estate. If you guys ever bought or sold a house, I know most of you have, right? So it's called curb appeal. So when you, if you were to put your house in the market and you haven't cleaned it for 6 months and it's nasty and it's got roaches crawling up the wall and there's weeds growing all over the place in the front, right? And it's just nasty. People won't even make it inside the house because that curb appeal is just so bad. You got like dead grass growing and you got a tree limb falling over and the outside of the house is like, it needs a paint job in a bad way, right? So your listing page on Amazon is pretty much your curb appeal. When they get there, you want it to be beautiful and pretty, and you want them to look at that listing and say, oh my gosh, take my money. I love this product and I love what this product will do for me when I get it. Okay, so I'm going to go back to sharing the screen and just go to the next one. So the next problem, the next pitfall that people run into is not knowing your numbers, and that kind of feeds into the passion, getting kind of drawn into a passion thing, right? When you get so excited about something, oh, I could put this in it, and I could put that, and make this pretty. You know, and you find it a lot with people who are hobbyists. I know a lot of just amazing artist people who just create these beautiful pieces of artwork in whatever form, and they don't do the numbers of how much time and materials it took to make that piece of art. And they undersell that piece of art. They don't value it. And they just don't know their numbers on it. And they end up losing money in the end. We're not building hobbies here, right? We're all on here to build an Amazon-based business or an online business where we use Amazon as at least one of our sales channels. So we need to be aware of what our numbers are on the bundles. So And in the Bundle Masterclass, I give you like a breakdown. It's a worksheet. Basically, it's plug and play. You can put all your keywords in the worksheet. You can put your different potential product pieces in there, what supplier they came from, what the cost is. And then you can work on those numbers and say, okay, if I get the cost down for this piece I want to put in my bundle, and you can go back to that supplier and you say, look, if I buy 100 of these or 1,000 of these, how will that affect my price? How can I get better? It really comes down to asking the right questions. You never ask a supplier, can I get a better price, please? Because you're only giving them 2 options, yes and no. So if you ask something called an open-ended question, if you say, how many would I have to buy to get a better price? It's called an assumptive close. You're assuming that they will give you a better price and you're leading them down that path in the conversation instead of giving them a chance to say no right out of the gate. Okay, we talk about that supplier negotiation in the Bundle Masterclass. Actually, the Bundle Masterclass is not just about bundles. I cover private labeling, wholesale sourcing. Bundling is basically just, it's a poor man's private label. I hate to use the term poor man because I make a lot of money on bundles. But it is an entry level to doing private label. So I don't just teach you how to throw a bunch of stuff in a poly bag, you know, how to just stuff a bunch of pockets, you know, puppets in a poly bag and put an adoption certificate in there and way to go. There is so much more to it before I ever get to the point where I'm sourcing. And you can apply this information in other areas of your Amazon business, whether you're doing wholesale sourcing or bringing in private label products from another country or locally or white labeling somebody else's product. You can use there's like 40 plus lessons in the Bundle Masterclass. And that's why I called it a masterclass, is because it really is the next level of training. Okay, so I'm going to go back into the chat here and see how we're doing. So I'm sorry that Ann can't hear. But yes, we are recording and we are live, and everybody else seems to be able to hear me. So we'll just post up the replay so you can hear it tomorrow. And a lot of people ask about, Ann Pope just asked about the UPC exemption. Hey, if you guys go to bundlemasterclass.com, and I actually put up a video. I put up an instruction sheet this week on the UPC exemption, and you can just follow it step by step, and it's also in the course. There's a video on it and a step-by-step instruction sheet. So yes, that is covered in the course. Do not use UPC codes on your bundles, period. That's it. Don't use UPC codes. You use what is now called a GTIN exemption, and we'll get into that in the course. Okay, great instructions, Richard says. Good, I'm glad you had a chance to look at them, Richard. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the bundle mistakes that people make. Not knowing your numbers, it's a huge one. We're running a business here, guys. So it really all comes down to, there have been times I've pulled the plug on the bundle. I've gone through all of the steps. I've got like 6 steps that I put people that I follow to get to the point where I'm ready to just order big on a bundle. And I'll get to the point where I've got 20 samples, and then I rework. I take a look at the numbers again, and I kind of revisit the customer-centric research I did and the competitive research, and it's changed a little bit in the time it took me to get the bundle together, and I will pull the plug on that bundle because the numbers don't work. So I don't get emotionally attached to any of my products. It's all about building a business that is sustainable, that I can maybe potentially grow to sell, right? Whatever your exit strategy is for your business, consider that as well. That's a number you should consider when you're building out your Amazon business. But we'll get into more of that in the Bundle Masterclass. Okay, cutting corners, ignoring terms of service. Huge pet peeve of mine, which is why I just kind of ranted on about the UPC codes, because I see questions on Facebook saying, well, I bought all these UPC codes, from eBay, and I've got a bunch of them left. Can't I just use the rest of them up? Amazon's never told me I couldn't. Amazon's never shut down any of my listings, so, can't I just use them? Well, I follow terms of service. I am one of those rule follower kind of gals, especially when it comes to if you happen to be the lucky poster child where Amazon decides it's only been a few months, like 6-7 months, that they implemented the GTIN exemption. So it could be only a short matter of time that Amazon cycles back around and takes a look at people using invalid UPC codes or UPC codes that they no longer allow. Right now, if you're one of those people who decided, well, I paid $30 on eBay for 100 UPC codes, I'm just going to keep using them. When it doesn't cost you any money whatsoever to apply for a GTIN exemption, you're just being lazy. And Amazon comes down on that and you lose your account, I won't be laughing at you, but I will be doing I told you so. Follow Amazon's terms of service. I'm a full-time Amazon seller, so I'm always in there. I'm on top of, I do my best to be on top of whatever's going on. And if I don't know something, I'm going to go back to the terms of service. I will never tell you, oh, yeah, you can do that, unless I've gone and checked or sent out a request to Seller Central support and asked them. So you just want to be careful not to cut corners on Amazon. Because think about it, guys, if this is your main source of online income, and you decide you're going to cut corners and kind of game the system and play in the gray area, you're putting your business at risk. You're putting your income at risk. You're putting your family at risk. If that income is used to support your family, don't do it. Okay, so off the soapbox. All right, not driving your own traffic. I'm really surprised how many Amazon sellers don't actually send their own traffic to their listings. So I'm going to turn off the chat here, okay, so I can get through the rest of the presentation, and I'll take a look at the chat in the end if we have time. Otherwise, go ahead and, yes, a teacher with ethics. I'm a teacher with ethics. So go ahead and post your questions in the Deal Diva group. That's facebook.com/groups/Deal Diva. If you post your questions in there, then I can take care of those questions when I'm not presenting the information I put together for you guys tonight. So, what was I just saying? the last one would be, let me come back over here, not driving traffic. Okay, this is huge. So I've got a bunch of my own websites, a lot of my own websites in niche markets from the energy industry, biotech, pharmaceutical, skulls, people who like rocks, believe it or not, like really niche markets. And I've had all of the energy websites since like 2004. So I own like energyexec.com, renewablenews.com. I have some really niche websites for the energy industry. Now, if you take that concept and you apply it to Amazon, there are services out there. One is called Zon Pages. I haven't played with it yet, but apparently it lets you, zonpages.com. Go Google it. Again, I haven't played with it, but I will in September. It lets you send an ad, okay, an ad click from, let's say you're selling a bundle of puppets, right? And on a Facebook page, you create an ad for these cool puppets, and you create a little video with kids playing with puppets, and reading the story, right? Have fun with it. And then you drive that traffic, but instead of driving it directly to your Amazon listing, and now you'll own the listing, so you'll get the sale, but I want to build a list. I want people who love puppets, or I want people who maybe I'll do an ad for how to use puppetry to help your autistic child. Now, I don't just want to send them to my Amazon listing. I want to send them to an opt-in page where they have to give me their email address, and I give them a free ebook on how to use puppeteering, storytelling with puppets. Maybe I can have that created. How to use storytelling with puppets for their autistic child. And then give them a discount code to buy the puppet bundle, 50% off or 30% off or whatever, right? So now I've got their email address, and I'm starting to build a list of people of a niche market who use puppets in order to help their autistic child communicate, right? Does that make sense? So then you send it to your listing and they buy. So now you're building out an email list of people in a specific niche market. Now let's say I find that puppets work really well, but now what else can I bring to that market? Let's say it's a market of people who have autistic children. Now maybe I know there are other products that I can offer to them, to this email list, maybe through an affiliate link, right? Or I can create another bundle based on their needs, or another product, private label product, based on the needs of parents with autistic children. Does that make sense? But now I have that email list that I can just email them saying, hey, look, we've got this new thing that we think would be useful for you to meet your needs as a parent of an autistic child, and send them to a link to purchase that product. Does that make sense? Okay, so driving your own traffic to Amazon. Another reason it's important is Amazon will give you juice on your listing. They love it when you bring people in the door. You're bringing people from Facebook and Pinterest and Instagram and Twitter and wherever else you want to market, Google, farmers markets locally, whatever. If you're bringing someone new into the Amazon ecosphere, Amazon's going to spiff you by saying, oh, cool, we see you're bringing us more customers that we can sell a whole bunch of other stuff to. So we're going to make sure that you get good rank on your listing. So not enough Amazon sellers are driving any traffic whatsoever to their listings. By the way, to play around with that, a friend of mine told me about Christian Little. If you don't know him, smart dude, really smart dude. He told me about Reddit. And I placed my first Reddit ad for a zombie-related product I sell on Amazon, just to try it out and see how it would work and what it would cost me. So it's still running, and I'm waiting for all the numbers to come in because, again, it's all about the numbers. But Reddit is another apparently really great place to get low-priced ads to send to your products and through an opt-in page to your products. Reddit. You can go check that out. And, again, that's something that we covered in the Bundle Masterclass in one of the modules. It's all about advertising. How to do advertising. We've got webinars in there and training in there from a couple of different people who know Facebook ads, Pinterest ads, Instagram, which is also kind of Facebook ads. It's kind of in there. So go ahead and check out the Bundle Masterclass course outline when you have a minute. And again, the registration closes in just 48 hours, 11:59 Thursday night Pacific time. Go register for the course. But let me get back over here to make sure I'm giving a ton of value to you guys. Okay, not driving your own traffic. So let me go to the chat here before we move forward, and I would like to hear mistakes you've made. Fess up, we've all made them on Amazon. What are some mistakes you've made selling on Amazon in any way? And let's just kind of, you know, giggle at each other and not to like beat yourself up, but just like, man, I can't believe I did that. What a bonehead. Here's some mistakes I made. Not sending enough product in, sending too much product in without testing the product. Not sending product in time if it's a seasonal bundle. You know, I pulled the trigger too late and I got busy with other stuff, and I didn't get my Valentine's bundles in until, like, you know, February 1st, and so that was a huge mistake. In Q4, not having enough product was a huge mistake I made last year, not so much this year. So what other products? Sending in restricted product. Oh my gosh, yeah. And restrictions, more and more restrictions are happening, guys. There's more coming down the pike, and that's actually a good thing. Because it's going to protect the brands and hopefully keep all of these scammers and crazies off of our listings too. And doing a bundle is basically a way for you to own your listing, so that if some scammer comes on it, you can report them to Amazon and get them off. Okay, so you change the specs of a private label product. Ooh. So not checking the status before buying more to resend. Yes. Oh, it had been changed to hazmat. Wow. Now, if something's changed to hazmat, I actually got something unhazmatted, or I got them to allow me to sell on that listing for a hazmat product because I contacted customer support. So when something like that happens, don't give up. Just contact customer support and lay out your case, and the worst they can say is no, right? Okay, so Eva, hey, Eve Baker has never made any mistakes in Amazon. Woohoo! But she's new, so you will. That's not a bad thing, as long as you look at mistakes as a learning experience and then figure out how to do it better next time. Listed a single item in a buy and get 3 free ASINs. Oh my gosh, Michelle, I'm not sure if it's the same thing, but when I was first playing around with doing pay-per-click on Amazon, I didn't understand the whole Amazon system of pay-per-click, and I put all of my inventory at 50% off. And I woke up the next morning and I'm like, woohoo, look at all these sales. And then I looked a little bit closer and I'm like, oh, that was 2 years ago. I've never done that again. But yeah, that was bad. I'm not the only person who have done that though, so I don't feel too bad. But I learned. So sending an entire case of mislabeled items. Oh man, you paid Amazon to relabel all of them. Not too bad. You didn't have to take them back. Listing bundle as used rather than new. That's an easy fix. Yeah, it could happen. Getting caught up in the bundle and not paying attention to the numbers. Yes, Julia, that is why the Bundle Masterclass, the whole first module is like 8-9 lessons on doing customer-centric research, on doing competitive research and market research. It's huge. Before we ever talk about physical products, I make sure that you guys have all had exercises where you know exactly what niche markets meet a certain set of criteria before you ever look for product. Okay, costly mistake, yes. Listed 12 item single pack against a 12 item case pack. Yeah, okay. So these are all great mistakes to make because we learn from them. Lisa sent items in before uploading photos, and then, you know, then it just suppresses it. That's okay. Everybody's got a different process. Once I conceptualize a bundle and I know I'm going down that road and I'm busy taking photographs and doing keyword research, I put up a draft listing. I just get a listing up there. Does the masterclass take place at our own pace, or are there online class dates? So Mary, it is, I made it a 30-day program, and then with exercises in each module, a lot of lessons, so that I find for myself when I learn something new, and if I learn it and then practice, and then learn it and then practice, it sticks better. Right? And I'm less likely to walk away and say, oh man, I don't have time. That being said, you have lifetime access to the Bundle Masterclass, and you can go at your own pace, especially now, you know, with the weather issues that are happening in Texas. I have students who can't, of course, they're not going to be able to get in it and work the class right now, but they have access in ad infinitum, and they get in there and work at their own pace. And then the group is always active, always live. And I do have 4 live webinars throughout that 30 days of the course, but I record them and I put them up with the course content. So you can cycle back around. There's no pressure. It's all about what works best for your timing, your life, your business. Everybody's got busy stuff going on and a lot of things happening. You're not forced to go through the course in any time frame other than your own. Okay, so who else does the send products to wrong warehouse? And Amazon kept it for themselves. Okay then. Naughty Amazon. Listed a toy at the wrong ASIN, had to pay concessions and got a blistering seller feedback. Ouch. You know, that stuff is fixable. It stinks, but it's fixable. But yeah, my point is that we all make mistakes selling on Amazon. My goal is in my business to reduce the amount of mistakes by making sure I do really deep research up front instead of just throwing a bunch of stuff up against the wall. You know, I was at a conference, at the Rocky Mountain Reseller Conference a few months ago, and one of the speakers talked about, he actually used to work for Amazon, and he talked about this cow, where 20% of the cow was the head, and that is like, in terms of the cow being your inventory, and the quality of your inventory in terms of how much you're selling. So the head is like the 20%, and then you got like the body of it, which is 70%, and then you got the tail, which is 10%, which is just nasty, you know, get rid of it. And the numbers could be flip-flopped around. It could be 10, 70, 20. But the point is that 10%, sometimes we hold on to that stuff for way too long. And we need to get rid of the junk and make sure that we're optimizing our listings and our ad dollars and our efforts and energy on that 20% to make it sell even more. And then the body, the most of our listings that are just sort of, and really concentrate on optimizing those to make them part of the heads, part of the best sellers. That works a whole lot better than when you have a visual on it, because it was a pretty cool visual. I do have a cow in here though, so one of the puppets is actually a cow. So I probably should have used this visual graphic. Okay, the head, the body, and the tail. Oh, he doesn't have a tail. That's funny. Okay, anyway, not making it a poor man's private label listing. Went from 175 units a month at 14 profit down to a ridiculous low 3-cent profit. No! Make sure you make it yours, everyone. And Brent, I am huge on making things mine. If you go ahead and check out the video I did today, it'll show you some of the ways that, like adoption certificate for the puppets, some of the ways I make products mine, and it's going to be in the Mumble Masterclass. There's an entire module on owning your, on creating a bulletproof listing that nobody can hop on, because you're going to customize at least one piece of that bundle. You're going to customize it. Okay, so I'll let you guys hang out in the chat. I'm going to go back to the presentation here, and thank you for sharing all of your mistakes. I appreciate you guys. You know what? It's just kind of tongue-in-cheek. There was no shame about it. I wasn't trying to make anybody feel bad. We all make mistakes in our businesses. It's how we handle them. It's all about attitude. It really is. Okay, so my approach to selling on Amazon. Know my market before I source anything. I don't necessarily start with a product, or if I find a product that I think looks interesting, I have to remind myself that it doesn't matter what I think. It's all about the numbers. So know your market before sourcing. Identify passions and problems. What are the passions people, what things are people truly passionate about? Where are these passionate niche markets? And then bring product to them. And then problems. All you have to do is look at the evening news and look at every single commercial. Almost every commercial is talking about some problem people have, whether it's a physical problem or a financial problem, and then meeting in that product that they're selling meets the need of that problem. Identify your competition. If you're entering in a market with so much competition that the numbers don't work and you can't make money, it could be a passionate market, but don't go there, because you're taking money away from creating a bundle or creating a product in a market that has less competition. Build your bundle concepts. So I build out a concept, and then I do testing on that bundle. I don't just order 1,000,000 units or 1,000 units of puppets, right? I'll pay a little bit more for a smaller order and test it, and then when it works, I go back to the supplier and I negotiate a much better pricing, and I ramp up my orders to a larger quantity. So create a custom piece that identifies suppliers. There's an entire module on identifying wholesale suppliers, on sourcing in general, wholesale, a white listing or white labeling. So finding suppliers who will allow you to white label their products, ordering overseas, and not just China. There's India, Mexico, Canada. Canada's not overseas. Sorry, Canadian friends. Sorry about that. But in other countries other than the US, and then also using auction sourcing. I just, this week I decided to include in the sourcing module, I'm going to include a lesson on how I find products at live and online auctions. Okay, So create a custom piece. That's huge. You have to create a custom piece in your bundles. Like I created this adoption certificate just for the puppets, right? And it's got this little gold seal on it, right? And you can just go to Vistaprint and create some really, like an instruction sheet, a recipe book, a tip sheet, whatever your bundle is, as long as it adds value, as long as the content of that piece adds value from the customer's point of view. I've seen these listings where people are selling, you know, a set of, for example, this wasn't a true listing, but a set of glasses, and then they throw in a keychain in order for nobody else to jump on their listing. Wrong, 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 bad, outside of terms of service, and it just doesn't meet the criteria of adding value to your customers. You know, if you were a customer on Amazon and you wanted this you know, a set of these cups, and you look at that listing, you're like, what? That's what? Why is that there? You're not adding value to the customers by doing stuff like that. So I don't bundle stuff, just like you don't keyword stuff. So test it. Order a smaller amount. Test it out. Even if you just break even, at least you're testing the concept. And then when the numbers come back, you decide to dump that bundle, not do it again. Or maybe your profit criteria have changed, and you decide not to go there or to ramp it up completely. And then market it, offline marketing. Go to Facebook, Pinterest, Reddit. Like I said, I'm still testing it out. But once I test out Reddit and I play with ads on Reddit, I will record a show and tell to show you what I did and how I did it and what the outcome was. And that will be in the Bundle Masterclass. Drive your own traffic, automate and delegate. There's a lesson there's a module in the Masterclass on how to automate your business, how to delegate, how to hire people, with checklists on how to hire people and sample ads, so that the things like that you can outsource, those are the things that you should right away start offloading so you could do the things that you're better at. So I would offload like maybe some customer research or niche market research, competitive research, right? And then you can take the research that you've paid a VA to do and then refine it based on your skill set. And then lather, rinse, and repeat. Once you get the system down, once you get the process down of the research and then the product and then the marketing, and you understand it and it becomes second nature, you just do it over and over and over again.